Welcome to the greatest MX game on Steam, MX Bikes. Now, this game is all rough around the edges, which I'll get to later, but for the most part, it pretty much scratches my itch in terms of a simulator arcade kind of hybrid. The difference between MX Bikes and other motocross games is that when you turn in this game, it's not really turning, it's leaning like it is in real life. So if you turn too far, you're just gonna flop over instantly and crash. So it's basically as close as you can get to real life. It's honestly fantastic to ride around the track, go over massive jumps. You have to use real motocross techniques to actually get around some of these parts, like some of the bumps you have to stand up, the corners you have to sit down. It's honestly so fun just to go around the tracks, and I've honestly lost myself in it. Basically, this game is endless, so it's completely moddable, which means new OEM packs, aka bikes, and new tracks are being added every day. The tracks, for the most part, some of them are fantastic. Like, one of my favorite tracks is a 3D scan track, which is super fun to ride on. Like, some of them can have really nice graphics and pretty enjoyable to ride on, and then others will be terrible graphics and kind of plain to ride on. It basically depends on what you download on the website. The bike itself, for the most part, it handles pretty great, but there is a few instances where it is quite realistic. Like, for example, it has a realistic gearbox, so it starts off first, neutral, second, third, fourth, so on. So it's like a real bike where neutral is in between first and second gear. Also, the rain mode is quite nice in this game. It basically means that little spots of water will come up on your goggles, and basically if you tear off, it's still going to come up because it's so frequent. It also makes the traction of the bike just a little bit worse because it's a bit more slippery. And the sounds on the sand or mud or whatever you're riding on makes a different sound, which is quite a nice touch. I personally don't really like riding in the rain mode just because I kind of have fun going for hot laps and stuff like that, but it is a nice touch. Another thing is the terrain deformation on the track is quite nice, like a little touch. It's not quite to the standard of MX vs ATV reflex, but it does create some ruts, which is quite nice, especially if you're going around the track. Mud and dirt also gets on your goggles, so you have to tear off, which is quite a nice touch. Mud gets on your bike after going around the track quite a few times, which is quite nice because it grounds you more in the game. One of the problems with MX bikes is that the bike will do something very random. Like, if you're in the middle of crashing, it will start bouncing around randomly. Going slow in this game is kind of a joke amongst the community, and going up steep hills, the bike just tends to wobble, and it's basically impossible to get up some of the really steep hills in the enduro track. It takes a lot to get used to. Another thing is the infamous PBO Bounce. So this is where, when you don't land properly, the bike will bounce up really strangely. It happens on MX Simulator 2, but it's much more apparent in this game. Some of the weird physics hopefully will be ironed out since this is only a beta, but let's see how it goes. This game has so much content in it. Basically, you could have like over 50 tracks downloaded, and that can range from supercross, motocross, enduro. The most popular enduro track is Krakenberg, which is 40 kilometers of pure hell. It took me 3 hours to finish the first time I tried it. There's even Supermoto, but the Supermoto in this game is a little bit... I don't really like it, personally, because you're just holding down the gas for too long, and I haven't really been bothered to download any of the Supermoto OEMs, so I don't know, but it just feels kind of weird with the stock motorbike going around some of those tracks. Like, for example, the back end just slips out really easily. It's like the tires have no grip whatsoever. So don't buy this game if you're just trying to do Supermoto. The community in this game is very alive. You can basically find people online any time of the day, any time of the night, even on modded tracks. The only problem is, with MX bikes, you have to actually know about PCs quite a bit. Like, you have to know how to download mods, how to put it into the folder, You also need to know how to port forward if you want to play some online servers, which some people that aren't really like using PCs that much will kind of get confused about. Like, this is quite a like hardcore game. It's not really, you can pick up and play, but you kind of have to know what you're doing. One of the things I really enjoy about this game is just how you can just go cruise around in a track, get better at it, and basically learn over time how to go even faster and faster. Your top lap times get recorded as ghosts that ride around the track. There's been multiple points where I've gone around the track for a couple of hours and been like, nah, I can't go any faster no matter what I do. And then I'll go on another track for a couple of days and I'll come back to that old one and I'll just smoke my old time like it's nothing. It's actually pretty rewarding when you increase your skill in this game. I've sunk only 80 hours into this game, but I can already tell that it's pretty fantastic and it's something that I'm going to be sinking way more time into. The three biggest issues I have with this game is, one, the price. $31 USD for this game is a bit of a steep asking curve. Even though it's got like basically endless content and it is a really enjoyable game, some people that are thinking about getting it probably won't get into it just because of that price. Another thing is some of the wonky physics, which I went over before, with the going up steep hills, crashing will bounce around weirdly sometimes. Also, if you're about to tip backwards, you can hold the back brake and it will just keep you suspended in the air, which is really weird. And then the last thing is, if you're not used to using PCs, you probably won't know how to port forward and stuff like that, which will make it really hard for you to join online servers. But apart from those issues, it runs great on my PC, even completely maxed out. And honestly, if you're looking for like a simulator type game that actually feels like a real motocross bike, that's not MX Simulator, that's actually on Steam, I would definitely recommend you guys pick this up. Like, for sure pick this game up. Like, you will not regret it. MX Bikes is a much more beginner friendly game compared to MX Simulator, which makes me enjoy it more personally. But MX Bikes doesn't really have the terrain deformation like MX versus ATV does, but that's okay. The terrain deformation in this game is quite basic, but it does the job. Like, in multiplayer, you can definitely get some fat ruts going. I would definitely recommend this game to anyone that wants a simulator motocross type game that's on Steam. I just want to thank anyone that watched this far into the video, and catch you next time.